This is the Authentic Sex Podcast, real life conversations about sex, pleasure, and relationships. I'm your host, Juliet Allen. This episode of Authentic Sex is sponsored by the Juliet Pleasure Wand. The Juliet is a premium crystal pleasure wand designed to heighten your sexual energy, increase self-love and self-pleasure, expand your orgasmic experiences, and connect you to your true sexual essence. You can read more and purchase your own crystal wand by visiting my website, www.juliet-allen.com. Here we are again. Welcome back on to Authentic Sex, Nicholas. So good to have you back. Finally, I can't believe that it takes this long just to get you on as a guest when we bloody live together, parent together, love together.
It only gets longer. It's only getting longer. But that's, I don't know, maybe that could be favourable. It's more exclusive.
I don't know. I'd like to have you on as a regular guest, but I think our main obstacle right now is it's hard to find time when it's just the two of us.
Yeah.
And the only time that it's just the two of us at the moment is when the kids are asleep. And when the kids are asleep, often the last thing I feel like doing, to be really honest, is sitting down and doing anything other than relaxing.
Yeah. No, I had a moment, like an 8-mile moment, psyching up in front of the mirror for this tonight.
I saw you. So, this episode with Nick, introducing Nick Perry, who is my beloved, my lover, partner, life partner, father of my children,
Mower of your lawns.
mower of my lawns.
Mm-hmm.
That could be interpreted in many ways,
literally
darling.
grass. Pruner of your hedges.
Stop it.
Whipper of your snippers.
Can you tell we live on 6 acres and Nick thinks about the garden lots?
Yeah.
Anyway, this is Nick. Nick has been a guest on Authentic Sex many times, and we are sitting down on the couch in the Airbnb that we are staying at the moment to speak to you today and share about our relationship. We, this month, have been together 7 years, which for both of us is the longest relationship we've both been in, as in time-wise.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally feel like we're doing pretty bloody good for 7 years down the track.
Yeah.
Many ups and downs, but we're going strong.
Yeah.
And, that's why we're here. We only decided today that we were going to record this too, which is always the best way to do it.
Yeah, definitely. We've literally already recorded one and it sucked, so we...
I wasn't going to tell them
threw
that.
it in the bin.
Yeah.
And then we gave up and we're like, we're not doing one this season. And then...
Yeah, we recorded one, and I think we were both fuming at each other the day before. Like we'd had some sort of disagreement, but we'd agreed we're going to record a podcast, and then we recorded an episode. And I listened back, and I was like, "Babe, we are not publishing that one. It really reeked of disagreement." So
you couldn't hear anything because the grinding teeth of your clenched jaw was too noisy.
Yeah. Anyway, here we are. We're currently on a just over 2 month road trip adventure as a family with our 2 youngest children. Our eldest is now 18, which is insane. She's at home staying at her dad's house, and we've hit the road, us 4.
Yeah.
And we're about halfway through the trip.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been amazing.
Best trip ever.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Best trip ever.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I like that you say that.
Yeah.
Better than India?
Well, yeah.
That's a big call. India was great.
Yeah, but
It was a different
we're
era of our
going
life.
fishing with the kids and surfing, and they're just... Magnolia's climbing upstairs all of a sudden, and Sol's riding his bike with no training wheels, and it's just so many important, like super milestone-y things are just unfolding one after the other, it seems, on this trip. Like big growth and development as a family, and our little bubbers as individuals are becoming themselves before our very eyes. And I think that has a lot to do with this choice to cocoon ourselves into a caravan as a family and make it, unavoidably, undoubtedly the priority. Because the catalyst for that was feeling like we were, not fulfilling that value of ours, really, to the standard that we dream of. And this trip has, like, definitely enlightened me to how high the standard can be. I think it's, really setting that up around what we are and are not willing to tolerate and accept for these golden fucking years of family life.
Yeah.
Like, what would the last month have been had we have not found ourselves here?
Oh, I would have ended up in a mental hospital.
Yeah. We'd be doing a meal train for you. Yeah.
We yeah, I agree
Yeah.
that leading up to this, our choice to come on this trip was because we did feel like I felt like we were just on this kind of fucking relentless pursuit of working and making money and doing our best to have quality time with each other and the kids. But it was like we were on this train and we couldn't quite, we'd found ourselves in what would you call it?
Oh, it was just it's boring. It's just the busyness is what we found ourselves in. Like busyness, we got so sucked into the matrix and we tried to do it our own way, which basically means we didn't outsource our parenting really at all.
Yeah.
No childcare, no nanny.
No support from family.
No family who could take them for 2 hours once a week. Nothing, zero.
And that's because our family lives so far away.
Yeah, of course. So we were really trying to uphold that value, but
it's not realistic.
it wasn't happening because I've got a big fucking mortgage and that doesn't go away. So we had to handle our responsibilities while holding true to that that level of presence and care with the kids. So ultimately, the solution to that was, I'll take him and you work, and then you take him and I'll work. And we just fell into that. And then it became quite ping-pongy. Here we go, and now it's Tuesday, so this is what I do, and this is what you do. And that means tomorrow's Wednesday, which means this is what I do and this is what you do. And
yeah, it was very predictable too. There wasn't much room for spontaneity or adventure.
No.
In fact, there was no room for spontaneity or adventure.
Not really. Not outside of our bubble. You're not outside of our shire. So, the adventure time with kids was still daily, which is cool because it's not like they were the sacrifice in that, which is great. I'm proud of that we, both really are devoted to really nurturing them, like really being proactive in developing them, and, you know, making those choices that typically or hopefully equal that secure attachment in their bodies. But the relationship probably was the biggest sacrifice, you know, which is what we woke up to. And it's interesting because the frustrations that are born from that get directed back onto the relationship, like back at each other. Like it wasn't this, it just sort of, there was almost like some level of turning on each other, which is interesting and sort of ironic that the antidote to that was to radically create the opportunity and the space for quality time. I'm not going to say too much more because it almost is perplexing. So if I keep talking about
Why is it perplexing? That we weren't prioritizing our relationship. We woke up to that. That had an impact on us both individually and as a family unit. And so what we chose, we woke up to the fact that we weren't happy in our current setup, that we needed to tap out and do something different for a couple of months in order to get perspective. And what that meant was that we have a lot of quality time together as a family and also quality time as a couple. Why is that perplexing?
the part of that when you're in it before you make the decision to prioritize it. So when we were in the stress, the stress was the outlet for that stress was the relationship. Ironically, the antidote to that stress was the relationship. But it's overwhelming. So it feels like you're to blame and you feel like...
You're definitely to blame.
Yeah. It's my fault, all of it.
It's always Nick's
all
fault.
All of it. But I think that's, I guess the reason I'm highlighting that, it's for anyone listening that's in that early stage of family life or just in a full phase of life, like a busy season.
It could be definitely couples without kids who are just both prioritising their career and...
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
A busy season, not necessarily child-related, but if there's a disconnect or a turning on each other, hopefully they hear this and can go, oh, maybe actually, the remedy here is fun. Maybe it's going back to simplicity. It's going back to, the myth of the relationship. What did we do in the first 6 months? What was that vibe?
And for us, that was
this.
This.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember on our second date, you rocked up with your van, looking schmick, by the way. The back of the van was like ready for a bonk.
Yeah.
Didn't happen on
threw
the second.
some new suspension.
No, actually, that was the first date where you just happened to show me the back of your van with like a bed that looked so well made. I was just blown away, and a didgeridoo just laying there.
Sprayed a bit of Sex Panther on the pillows just in case.
Anyway, I remember saying to you at the end of our first date when we were saying goodbye and we hugged. Remember, you were parked out the front of the coffee shop. I was like, let's go on an adventure together in your van. And you were like, yep, let's do it.
Yeah.
And then we set a date.
Yeah. Yeah.
We went on an adventure for our third date.
Mm-hmm. I think that was to...
Bruns.
Oh, that was Bruns.
No, that was just Bruns. That was like a day date adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next adventure was...
Aluka.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was
it? Somewhere. Anyway, not many people will know these locations except for the Australians who live on the East Coast. Yeah, so here we are. We're in an Airbnb. Tomorrow we go back in our sweet little caravan. And are you feeling happier?
Yes.
Great. So am I. So let's celebrate that.
We're never gonna
never
be
gonna-
happy again.
And we're never going to argue again.
No, we made it. We made it. Gosh, they say that there's no destination to the journey, but we've proved them wrong. This is it forever. Smooth sailing.
We cracked the code.
Yep.
Anyway, so today what we did was, because this was a last minute decision to record a podcast episode together, we both threw up on our Instagram stories a question box asking you, or people on Instagram, what do you want to know about our relationship? 7 years monogamous, never once been open, which for those of you who don't know what monogamous means, that means neither of us have had sex with anyone else in 7 years. We have been exclusively, unless you've got something to tell me about.
Well, yeah. When do we start counting I'm joking.
Counting the what?
I don't know. I was going to try and make something funny out of that, but it
It's not
dissolved and fizzled away.
And yeah, so we've got your questions, and that's what we're going to focus on today, along with anything else that we can think of. Nick and I mean, you would agree, we've definitely had our extreme up and downs. It's been a journey. There definitely have been conversations about breaking up, but usually that's me when I'm fuming and I just, occasionally say, wait, that's it, we're done. But that's me when I'm just really, really triggered. But there was an occasion where we did break up.
Yeah.
And you spoke about that on Instagram recently, which I think got a fair bit of attention because people were like, what?
Yeah.
But you guys are so happy. What do you mean you broke up?
What? Your social media isn't the full picture of your life? It's not a perfectly transparent depiction of how it is. Yeah.
No, how it was probably about a year in.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Roundabouts. Yeah. Yeah. So that happened.
So 7 years monogamous. Let's answer some of the questions from people. All right. Let me just go to the question board. Oh, okay. The first one is, how do we meet? Now, I know that we have shared this before. So for the long-time listeners, they may be like, oh, we've already heard this story. If you've already heard the story, skip through. If you haven't and you're curious, then we'll keep it short. And it actually is quite short.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so romantic. You would never believe. Drum roll.
DMs.
Instagram DMs. Nick hit me up.
Yeah.
What did you think? What was your thinking there?
Oh, it was, I think the kids these days say shoot your shot. Shot my shot. And, yeah.
A little bit more of an explanation there. Like, were you following me for a while?
Oh,
and
no,
you just thought
I
was
didn't.
gorge?
I'd never heard of you, and then somebody mentioned that you were running some sort of workshop. I can't even remember what it would have been, and it was somewhere, and so I was like, okay, cool. So I was just starting to tap into that world, that Tantra world, and then anyway, followed you. Then you freaking cancelled. You cancelled the workshop.
Did I?
Yep.
Oh, because of the floods, I think.
What floods?
There was some sort of something happened, and I remember cancelling years ago.
Yeah.
In Palm Beach, yeah.
Yeah. And then you, I think I was just creeping on your stories, and then were playing a song, or a song was on in the background, and that was my in. I was like, oh, I like that song. I like that band. I will use that as my little crack to wriggle into, and that's how the conversation started.
And then you wriggled into my crack.
Yeah.
Literally. Oh, I'm so glad that you did.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you did. I love you.
Mm.
Do you love me?
I love you too.
Yeah, Nick DM'd me, and I remember seeing this DM and thinking, oh, who is this? And then I went and had a little look, and I thought, I couldn't figure out who you were at the start because there was a lot of tattooed people there was a couple. And then I did my detective work on your Instagram account, and I was like, it's him, he's hot. And it looks like he's doing amazing work in the world, and he lives like close to me. He's not, somewhere on the other side of the world. And so I responded, and then you very quickly took it off Instagram into text.
Mm-hmm.
We set up a coffee date.
Yeah. And I rocked up in my polo shirt.
And he rocked up in a polo shirt. Now, that was a questionable moment.
It was a work shirt.
He'd just come from, you were a massage therapist at the time, and I think you'd just come from massaging with your little massage
unit. It was all oiled up. My elbows were, at least.
But you had a bloody polo shirt on, and I was like, ooh, uh-oh. We may have a little bit of a red flag here with this style. Luckily, I gave you a second chance.
Yeah.
Although I do remember in that first date, do you remember we sat on the sand dunes and had a coffee? Probably my 7th coffee of the day back then.
Oh.
And...
God. I remember.
I used to drink so much coffee when I first met Nick.
Sickening amount of coffee.
Like at 4 p.m. I was downing a long black. I was brewing them for you, and you were being really polite.
I didn't want them.
Anyway, I remember sitting on the sand dune, and I remember saying to you, we're going to co-create something together. I remember saying that. You don't remember it.
I don't remember that.
And I said, we should work together. And I thought, we're going to do workshops together, and then I thought, and we're going to have kids together. But I didn't tell you the second one because I thought that might scare you away too soon. And here we are.
Yeah.
And honestly, that from that moment onward, that's been it for me.
Yeah.
Like I got rid of any extra lovers that were potentially hanging about in the shadows, waiting for any possibility of connection with me again, and chose you.
Yeah.
Did you do the same?
Well, I guess I'm just recalling there was a bit of a loop-de-loo, do-si-do phase inside of that.
What, the ex?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we'll have to rewind. So we set up a coffee date. I was excited to meet you, and then I got back with my ex. So I texted you and said, hey, I've got back with my ex. We can't meet up. I want to honour her and you, and so it doesn't feel right to meet up. And you were like, yep, sweet. Like, the way you responded was amazing. You were like, what a lucky woman she is, enjoy, whatever. And then as soon as her and I broke up, it was that second time we'd already broken up, we'd had a long gap, we got back together, and, it disintegrated within not long because we shouldn't have got back together. And that's when I reached out to you for a coffee.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop thinking about you in that time. I'd never met you, but I couldn't stop thinking about you.
You had met me.
Oh, in the car park. I'd never met you.
No, we'd had the coffee date.
No. Oh my God, your memory's actually
Oh,
slipping,
wait.
babe. Wow. There's a
Oh no, that was just the texting.
showing
Yeah,
your
that
age.
was just the texting.
We were texting.
Yes,
I got back
yes,
with her.
Yep.
We hadn't met yet.
Yeah,
And then
got
we
ya.
bumped into each other in a car park when I was with her. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Her and I were walking
When I
from
was-
the car
yep,
to the
I
coffee.
do. Yeah, I was with Tay.
You were walking back with Tay.
Yep.
This handsome man came up to me and was like, Juliet, gave me the best hug ever. And it was you. And I felt my heart just beating, and I just thought, uh-oh, this is a major spanner. And then my ex turned to me, and I can say this now because I think she would probably laugh now if I shared this story. No, I think she would.
Yeah.
You'd recently met her,
Yeah.
She was like, you slept with that guy. And I was like, I honestly I have never met that man in my life. I've only ever spoken to him on Instagram. And she was like, there's something between you guys. And then we probably had a huge argument about it. And yeah.
It might have been the massive erection I had.
Okay, let's wrap this up.
I didn't actually, by the way. It was
This story's going on.
Yeah, it's dragging on.
It's dragging.
That's how we met.
It's dragging.
Let's
All
go.
right,
Next question.
Everyone listening's getting a real taste of us tonight.
Yeah.
27 minutes in and we haven't answered one serious question. Okay. Oops. Let's have a look. All right. What annoys you about each other?
Who asked that?
What annoys you about each other?
Oh.
We'll just do one each.
Okay.
You go first. What annoys you about me? Just keep it light.
I'm going to find a medium one. When you try to recruit me or someone else into your outrage.
What do
It's
you
like,
mean by
like
that?
if you're highly triggered or emotional about something,
Yeah.
sometimes I'm not. And you'll be like, why aren't you as outraged as I am?
Oh, why aren't you? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. That's a boring one.
Oh, really? Okay. It's kind of annoying. It's like, hey, because I'm not that thrown off center around it.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, that annoys you. Okay. Mine is your lack of. Mine is your inability to time manage. Now, I will give you credit and say that when it comes to your clients, you are extremely impeccable with time. You're always there on time for them. What baffles me, as my mother would say, is why is that not the case with me? You know, for example, the other night you said, I'm going to go do something for work for 5 minutes, and half an hour later you
I
rocked
could have
up.
sworn that was 5 minutes.
Yeah, see, this is
I
an
could
example.
actually
For those
look.
listening
I
in on
could
this
actually
conversation.
Because I had to record something. I could look and see exactly how long it was.
Yeah, anyway.
I'd be interested in that.
You don't value time or being on time or any of that. There's none of that. It's basically your time, and that annoys me. And that's okay. We don't need to workshop this because this episode's going to go for a long time, and I don't want to make it about this, but
Okay.
they're the two
Good.
things.
All right. You got off lightly on that. I should get another one.
Okay, so let's find these questions. How many times a week do we have sex? This gets asked every time we do a Q&A. What's your answer?
Oh. It's a sliding scale. There's not really a one. It's not like there's not a consistent
There's no
number.
consistency
There's no
there, guys.
consistency weekly.
No.
Yeah.
Let's go, in the first year, it was probably like, what, every day?
Yeah.
Maybe less. Probably.
Pretty
Pretty much every day.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And then, so let's fast forward to now. It's probably once a year, no jokes. It's been a lot less since having 2 little kids, let's be honest,
Yeah.
a lot less.
Mm-hmm.
This week, it's the last 3 nights we've had sex.
Yeah.
But then we may go we're about to hop back in the caravan with the 2 kids, which means no sex.
Yeah.
Unless we do a sneaky top bunk sex, but one of us will probably put our back out. Or
or a freezing cold outside.
Nature sex while the kids are asleep inside. So it really, there's no consistency here. It could be 3 times a week. It could be 3 times a month. There's been times when we haven't had sex for a month. Let's be really honest here.
Yeah.
I mean,
Definitely.
You know what though? That's penetrative sex, because often there's
Yeah.
other kinds of sex.
Yeah.
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 But yeah. So yeah, it's definitely a hard one to answer definitively.
Yeah. All right. Next question is, please talk about. Actually, no, I'm not going to do that one yet. This was an interesting one. Have changes in your postpartum body affected your relationship in any way? I thought that was really cool. No one's ever asked me that. So I guess I'll speak. And then you could potentially speak too.
I suppose, yeah, that's really a question for you, isn't it?
Oh, well, you could speak into postpartum changes in a body, but that may be a sensitive topic that I don't want to have live, if you're going to be really honest about that.
No. Yeah. Oh, I'm just reading that as a question to you. Your postpartum body.
Well, I don't think it's affected my relationship with you, no. I think it's affected my relationship with myself, which actually then, if I really looked into it more, which I haven't really reflected on this much, would have impacted my relationship with you. If I have had, ups and downs with my own relationship with my body, my postpartum body, which I definitely have. Because, my first pregnancy, I was 23, and so my experience of pregnancy and my body was, I get pregnant, I put on minimal weight, I quote unquote bounce back within a couple of weeks, and I'm back in my bikini feeling great. But I was 23 back then. And so then my second baby, which was Sol, at age, I think I was only 38, just before my 39th birthday.
Yeah.
I definitely found it harder, and I was surprised to find it harder to feel myself in my body again and lose weight, even though I didn't chunk on weight, but I definitely found it more difficult to just feel good in my body again. And then third pregnancy, I was 40, 41, something. It's all a blur. I did find it, actually, I think I found it a little easier to lose the weight because I was probably a bit more active because we had a toddler.
Yeah, true.
But it's I'm 14 months postpartum now, and I think it's probably been in the last probably 4 months that I've felt really great again. I'm okay, I'm back in my size 10 jeans. Even the other day I was maybe I should buy size 9. The size 10s are a bit big. That's pretty good. I'm not as toned. I need to do way more Pilates.
I have to interrupt this episode to let you know that today is sponsored by Pleasure School. Pleasure School is a monthly membership where together we study intimacy, conscious connections, and how to embody our true sexual essence. Every month, students of Pleasure School access members-only educational content across a wide range of formats, including written, audio, video, and guided home study. Pleasure School is led by myself, And I'm also joined by other teachers who are pioneering in the fields of sexuality, relationships, and holistic health. This is your chance to join a unique online school like no other in the world. Learn more and join Pleasure School at www.juliet-allen.com. That's JULIET-ALLEN.com.
So anyway, has it affected our relationship? Not directly, no.
No. Yeah, it's not from my end. Hasn't impacted the relationship at all. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the short version.
Yeah.
Okay. So next question is, did you go through a high conflict era?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
We go through high conflict seasons or phases.
Yeah.
Where there's...
It's just kind of like a wave sometimes. I think, yeah, what's meant by conflict? Well, yeah, the loose answer is yeah, definitely. There's a butting of heads that happens, by which I mean strong wills collide. So that's inherently causing of conflict. So yeah.
We're both very stubborn. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm.
And I think when we're in a phase that we were in a month or so ago or probably longer than that, where we caught ourselves, where we felt like we were kind of in the matrix on the treadmill, just doing what needed to be done to pay the mortgage, basically. There was more conflict.
Yeah. I think there's different... Well, there's a question that'll come up later, actually. We'll save it for that. But yeah, that's the most succinct way to respond to that.
What's the next question you'd like to answer?
The question that says, with all the work you have both done, do you guys have any of the old activations coming up? Meaning the old triggers coming up. So I suppose that question is cool off the back of do you have a high conflict era, or have you had that, or do you have that?
The answer is yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And so as it cycles around, it almost cycles around bigger sometimes, like old triggers, old activations cycle back bigger sometimes. And also the ability to see it for what it is comes with that, it improves. The ability to objectify it more, not necessarily right in the moment, but to go, oh, that's that program in me. That's really lit up. That's why I'm fully thrown off center, fully dysregulated. That's that program, or that touched that wound with great force. So it's like the activations are there, but they're not as bamboozling.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like it comes up, but there's more awareness around them.
Yeah, there's an understanding of what it is, which makes it easier to be in, and also easier to recenter. Back to come back home out of. Whereas those early conflicts, it's like, what the fuck is going on? You know, and that's almost an added stressor. It's the not understanding.
Yeah.
Like, what in me is so shaken up here. So yeah, that's, I suppose, the dimension I wanted to add to that first question. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think anyone in any relationship is ever going to get to a point where there's not activations or whatever you want to call it, triggers. There's always going to be some sort of conflict occasionally in a relationship. And we're not, like, we don't get to a point where suddenly, we're not going to ever feel activated again or ever feel triggered again. That's like just part of life. You know, triggers are an opportunity for us as individuals to learn more about ourselves, to grow, to evolve. And without them, you know, like, life would be boring, right? In a way, it's like they're there for us to learn. We're not going to get to a point where they don't exist.
Well, probably not. I think it is possible, and I think some people do get to that level of integration, you know, like
I disagree.
way down the track. No.
Like, who do you know? Like, real elders, maybe?
Yeah, elders. That's where I've seen it.
So maybe when we're like 70, we might have actually...
Maybe, yeah.
We'll get back to you in...
Maybe earlier, but I guess it's... Yeah, I do definitely believe that deep resolve, that deep integration is a place and a state. You know, there are people walking around who genuinely occupy that level of centeredness and high vibe, where the impacts that they copped in early life that shaped their sense of self, that informed their ideas of relationships and love and self-worth and all of that. Like, they've moved through all of that in a way. Like, yeah, I believe there's people walking around who are quite at peace, you know, who can, like, they've got the certificate, you know, the thing that used to trigger them, it's right there in front of their face. Like, I remember a friend, he was a fair bit older than me, and he had a cool way of describing it. So I popped over to his house, and I was, you know, a lot younger, and he had just been visiting his ex-wife. And so it was, you know, the dynamic was what it was. But what he said to me, which was really interesting to hear in my, you know, early to mid-20s, he said, yeah, you know, my ex-wife was, you know, doing the thing that she always does and would do. And I was just so like, like, so unfazed. And he said...
So unfazed?
So, he's so unfazed. Oh. And he was like, I feel like I got my certificate, you know, like, that says, you know, congratulations, that's not a thing anymore for you.
Yeah.
And that was a really cool, like way to frame it up of like what is, you know, for me, when I didn't really understand what was meant by like integration, or healing, or that inner resolve, that helped me get it. I'm like, good, you know, and I was stoked. I was like, cool, good for you. Because from what I understand, it was a mission to get to that place.
Yeah, and it sounds like potentially with that relationship with his ex-wife, he got a certificate. But who's to say that if he gets into another relationship with a different woman who has her stuff that she brings, and then they come together in their own unique connection, that's not going to bring up, something else from his childhood or a different trigger.
Oh, yeah, nothing's to say that. Like, it probably would. I suppose what I'm saying is, my belief is that there are people that, don't just have the certificate, they've got the plaque. That they've moved through it all, or that they've had some sort of huge shift in, like, a near-death thing. Yeah, something along those lines where a complete paradigm reset.
Yeah. Okay, next question. Let's go to your ones. This one came up a couple of times in a couple of different kind of ways. How do you navigate desire for others / trust in long-term monogamous container? And then the other one, I'll just read it out and then we'll kind of just speak to it together, I think. What do you do with sexual attraction or intense connection chemistry with others? So we're in a monogamous container. What do we do when we are attracted to somebody else? And then I guess the second part of that is trust. Like, how do we trust each other not to act on desire, attraction, connection with someone else?
Yeah. Well, trust is a choice. That's probably the short answer. You got to make that choice. Choose to trust.
That's easier said than done, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it is for me.
Yeah. But it's on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, what do you do with the desire? What do you do with the desire? It's like, if you perceive the desire as an energy source, the desire is in you. It has been like catalyzed or activated by something out there, in the world, in the marketplace.
The marketplace.
Yeah. And it's the activation is in you. So it's like, what do you channel it? Where do you channel it? Do you channel it into yourself? Do you channel it into your relationship? Do you channel it into the legacy that you're building? It's like, really, there's a lot of opportunity to, like, wield that energy. So I think it's a good question. It's to premeditate. Okay, what am I gonna do? Where am I gonna channel this energy when it happens?
And I guess some people channel it into that desire or connection outside of their relationship, which is what creates conflict and heartbreak, essentially, right?
Well,
They go, there's a hot woman. She's hot.
yeah.
We have a connection. My cock's hard or my pussy's wet. I'm going to act on that and think, not have the awareness to go, okay, what is it about that person that I'm attracted to?
Yeah.
How can I, what do you want to say something?
Well, yeah, that's the reaction without what you're saying there, without the self-examination that is grounded and anchored in the agreement, which is monogamy. So, yeah, if it's a reaction, it just, like, pulls that, anchor point out of the floor and goes towards the activator, and then the activation